What up, y'all? What up, y'all? This is Brother Prime. This is my channel, Sweatbox. We back. We live. We active. Yes, we are. You know the words. You know the deal. We shooting jumpers. So that means we talking NBA. Yes. Let's just talk briefly about this week and this past week in the NBA. It was a very, I'm not gonna say strange, but it was a very, I'm gonna say strange. It was a strange week. There was some great moments, and we'll talk about that. But then I really want to talk about the struggles of the Golden State Warriors and the Cleveland Cavs versus the rest of the league. The Golden State Warriors and Cleveland Cavs, arguably the two best teams in the league, had really bad weeks. The Warriors have lost, I think, 4 of 6? 6 of 8, I'm not sure. They've lost a bunch. I mean, we knew they were going to struggle when Durant went down. But, they're struggling, man. I mean, they got blown out in San Antonio last night. They had that crazy loss to Boston. It's been rough, man. Like I said, we knew they were going to struggle without Durant. And struggle they have. Struggle they have indeed. Let me look up real quick because I should have done it before I started the video. But, I don't ever do shit right. I always just like to try to wing it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to look up exactly their record in their last couple of games. So sorry that I didn't do this earlier. I'm not sorry. I don't care. You're just gonna. I mean, if you don't want to watch, turn the video off. But I'm still making valid points about the fact that how the Warriors are struggling without Kevin Durant. And like I said, we knew they were going to struggle, but I did not think it would get this bad. I mean, this is the interesting thing. Once you've worked a guy into the system like they worked Durant into the system and he became such an integral part of it, it's really interesting to see this team struggle without him. A team that's basically still the same. Yeah, they don't have Harrison Barnes. They don't have Zaza Pachulia anymore. But this is still basically to say you still have your 3 key guys that you had last year in Draymond Green, Steph Curry, and what's the other Splash Brothers name that I cannot remember his name right now, who went to Wazoo. But yeah, it's strange that they're struggling like that. I found it extremely strange. The Cavaliers also 4-6 in their last 10 games. What is going on in the league right now? Like I said, both teams still number 1, but the Wizards are on their heels. 2 games behind the Cavs. 2 games behind the Cavs. Also, the Celtics on their heels. 2 games behind the Cavs. And the Celtics are playing some really good basketball. Isaiah Thomas is leading that team and playing some great basketball. They had great wins over the Warriors. Had a great win over the Bulls. I just, I don't know what's going on. The Warriors are 5-5 in their last 10 games. 5-5. Still, and the Spurs are right on their heels, especially with the win last night. Spurs are 9-1. I didn't even realize that. 9-1 in their last 10 games of the Spurs. You talk about playing some good basketball. Kawhi Leonard, who is rightfully in talks for MVP of the league, he's not going to win it because it's going to go to Russell Westbrook, as it should. I'm not mad about that. But Kawhi deserves to be acknowledged for the season he's having. People said it, and I 100% agree, he's the best two-way player in the league. You're not going to find a player who works that hard on defense and is that good of a defensive player who still gives you that amount of output on the offensive end. I absolutely love Kawhi Leonard. And even though he's not going to win MVP this year, he absolutely deserves to win, and he deserves to be in consideration, and he deserves all the praise that he's getting. The Spurs are playing some good. What do you expect from a Greg Popovich team? I expect nothing less from a Greg Popovich team than how they've played. So, kudos to the Spurs for playing some good ball. The Rockets also playing some good ball. Still not really in contention to catch the Warriors or the Spurs. But the Spurs are only half a game behind the Warriors now. Are the Spurs going to catch the Warriors and take the #1 seed? It might happen? Here's the thing. Even if they do take the 1 seed, once Kevin Durant gets back, and it looks like he's probably going to get back just in time for the first round of the playoffs, once Durant gets back, whether the Warriors are the 1 or the 2 seed, I still think their chances of getting to the finals are going to be the same. You're going to have to win 1 or 2 more. You're going to have to win 1 more road game once you place. If you end up playing the Spurs in the Western Conference Finals, so I'm still not too concerned about the Warriors. I think they'll right the ship before Durant, because they've had a brutal schedule. Let's just make that clear. I'm not making any excuses for their losses. They need to play better, but they have had a brutal schedule. And in that loss to the Spurs, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Andre Iguodala, and Steph Curry, none of them even played. They basically sat all those guys to rest them, make sure they're as healthy as possible. A lot of people were upset about that. Steve Kerr doesn't give a shit. He's trying to coach his team the best he can. So take that loss to the Spurs with a grain of salt, because those guys didn't play. But it's still a loss, and it still hurts them in the standings. San Antonio's right on their heels. So now let's talk about a team that has just underperformed and irritated me all season. The Chicago Bulls played a horrible game of basketball yesterday in their loss to the Boston Celtics. I want you guys to get this on the record that I'm about to tell you. Chicago Bulls scored 25 points in a half. In the half, they scored 25 points. They had 25 points at halftime and were losing by 20 points. They played horrible basketball. Now, they turned it on in the second half, and they were able to put up 80 points total for the game. But to only score 25 points in 30 minutes of basketball, do the math. This team is, I feel so bad for Dwayne Wade and Jimmy Butler. I mean, that team just cannot get it together, and I expected so much more for them. And they started out playing so well. But this team is done, man. They're not even going to make the playoffs. Somebody made the point yesterday, I think it was Mark Jackson on ABC, on ESPN Sports, where he said, take this into consideration. The Miami Heat are probably going to make the playoffs without Dwayne Wade, while Dwayne Wade and the Bulls are going to miss the playoffs. And Miami's not playing great basketball, so take that with a grain of salt. I mean, it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. We're gonna finish this one up. We're gonna finish this one up with some kudos that I want to give out, and I want to give a special shout out to a player that I absolutely love, and he had a really good week. I want to talk about my boy Dirk Nowitzki. Dirk Nowitzki, the man with the best 1-foot fadeaway jumper I've ever seen in my life. Congrats to Dirk Nowitzki. He hit 30,000 career points this week. He's got the Dallas Mavericks playing some pretty good basketball. They're still fighting for a playoff spot. It might be on. They might end up on the outside looking in, but it doesn't matter. He's coming up on 20 years with the same team. He's gonna try to do the Kobe thing and try to get that record, and he deserves it. Shouts out to Dirk. He was with that team when they were horrible, played some great ball, won a championship for that team. I mean, Dirk Nowitzki is a Hall of Famer, absolutely, and I love his play. I love him as a player. He seems like a stand-up dude. He's got the best post-game interview swag in the history of the NBA. I like him as a player a lot. And this game is going to miss him when he's gone. He's a great player. Shouts out to Dirk Nowitzki for making the 30,000 point mark. That's been the news this week in NBA basketball. I know I didn't talk about the Cavs as much as I meant to, but they're not playing good basketball. What else do you want me to say? They're still the #1 seed. They're going to be fine, but they need to get it together. The two top teams in the league, Cavs and Warriors, you guys got to get it together. These other teams ain't playing. They coming for your neck, son. They coming for your neck. So anyway, as always, you know how we do. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. It's your boy, Mr. Von, Mr. Von's channel, Sweatbox. Until next time, you know how we do. Peace. 100, y'all.
You talking to me? My boy, Josh Riceberg on the track with me. What up, Josh? Let's go.
I love you so.
Mr. Vine, Sweatbox.